So I say D, I say D-O, D-O-D, D-O-D-G, D-O.
One of the great things about doing this show is you get to talk some hard subjects with some really knowledgeable people. And I am extremely blessed to be speaking with one here, Jim Dreher, the editor of the Town Times in Western Connecticut. And Jim, how are you? How are things?
I'm fine. How are you? Happy New Year, even though we're this far in. Still, it's a new year for us.
It certainly is, and certainly an interesting one. And you know, typically when we've done these interviews, I've made up my laundry list of things, which really, it's almost like a list of grievances.
Tony, typically when we've done these interviews, I've been on my second cup of coffee in the morning. This is new territory for us.
No matter what, it gets your blood boiling. But
yeah.
You know, I am entirely lost, or maybe I'm somewhat found, but I'm certainly, angry about this whole yard goats thing and the stadium and the additional money, and no one seems to be telling the truth, and all this development that's supposed to happen, and nobody knows where the development is, and the team is going to be playing on the road, and you tell me what's happening.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing that's happening for sure. They're having extended happy hours at the bars in New Britain, that's for sure. I'll tell you, I didn't like this from the get-go. Obviously, Hartford is one of America's worst capital cities. The image of it is awful.
Terrible.
It's turned into a ghost town since the Whalers left. You roll up the sidewalks at 5 o'clock. You don't even have Coach's Bar and Grill there anymore. You have some UConn games that are not guaranteed sellouts anymore. You don't get the great concerts at the XL Center, and the building itself is a relic. It's obsolete. So I understand in theory what they were trying to do, but there have been studies after study after study over the decades that building these ballparks and these Xanadu type of shopping plazas and whatever do not work. They do not drive economic development. They don't bring people in. The fact is, Hartford is a bad deal, and the people of Hartford are now going to be on the hook for close to, take your pick, again, like you were saying, Tony, it's anywhere between $5 and $10 million. And this has turned out to be a bad deal for Connecticut, a bad deal for Hartford. Like I say, the people of New Britain, like I said, I think they're having a great big laugh over all of this. I supported that team very well for a very long
years
time.
And years.
But it just goes to show the greed that runs from the head of the snake in professional sports down to the lowest minor leagues.
Well, and you could go all the way back to Lou Perini in 1952 with the Boston Braves. And, Lou Perini, who did it, he did it in 2 successive decades. The man was incredible. But, and it's always been this thing of, okay, the fans will root, but the owners will put their economic interests first. This one, at least to me, understanding that, not being, for this purpose, not being a virgin, it just seemed like a very dumb thing to do.
Absolutely. Hartford, I don't know if there's going to be coming back for Hartford. It just has such a bad image that, you know what, even though you get the ballpark built there, who's going to hang around afterwards? I mean, in New Britain, as soon as the game was over, people were out of there. Don't forget, you're talking about an area, for the most part in New Britain where, they drew from around towns where people, as soon as the game was over, had to get out of there. You're bringing families to games. The kids get a little tired. They want to go to bed and whatever. Who's going to hang around afterwards? If minor league ball, which fancies itself as being family-friendly entertainment, G-rated and plenty of contests and all this other kind of stuff, you get those kids, they've been out there for a couple of hours, going nuts on cotton candy and soda and snacks and stuff. They're worn out by the 6th, 7th inning. So, if you want to go out and have dinner or something, expected it. It just stunk right from the start, and there was just something, Tim McCarver liked to say, that dog won't hunt. That dog didn't hunt right from the start, and if that dog went hunting, boy, it wandered off the path.
Well, and the question that I ask myself is the parent club, whom I believe is the Rockies, the Colorado Rockies.
Yes.
What is their commitment to Hartford?
Well, the Rockies have a history in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Don't forget, they were the original
The parent of the New Haven
the
Ravens.
New Haven Ravens.
Yeah.
Yes, playing at Yale Field there, and they eventually bailed out there because Yale Field wasn't a viable
Right.
facility. Although I tell you, I loved it myself. You just walk on that field, and there's so much history. You think of Babe Ruth standing there with George Bush as the Yale first baseman back in 1947. Frank Viola, pitching for St. John's there in that NCAA tournament game they had there. So the Rockies and Connecticut, yeah, kind of a rocky history. They had such a good thing going with the Minnesota Twins for such a long time in New Britain, and it's you honestly don't think of the Rockies having a commitment here. It's you haven't heard from anybody involved with the Colorado Rockies with this whole thing. So that leads you to wonder.
It does lead you to wonder, and it might be a case of silence speaking volumes. It's just, of all the things that could happen in the state, anybody picking up a newspaper, to perhaps be a little anachronistic, and think of Connecticut, and what do you think of? Well, this is the state that can't build a minor league ballpark, and this is the state that lost GE.
And this was the state that Robert Kraft took to town 20 years ago to get a stadium deal, and not so much the stadium. The stadium is privately financed, but the infrastructure around it to keep the Patriots in Foxborough. That's one reason among many why I don't understand that anybody in Connecticut is a Patriots fan after what Robert Kraft did to this state. A lot of people got their hopes up over that. They actually thought the Patriots were eventually going to come to Hartford, and there wasn't a chance that the NFL was ever going to let that happen.
I am so happy you brought that up because no one seems to remember that. And it probably had to be, I'm going to use here a somewhat obtuse term, probably had to be the best episode of pimping a public official, Robert Kraft to John Rowland.
Oh, John Rowland was so out of his element there, and I know the governor.
I said it,
know
folks.
Him pretty well, met him on several occasions, had a chance to talk with him, and he's personally to me he's a nice guy. Obviously that's subject to a lot of people's opinions and thoughts on him, but he was just totally out of his league with Robert Kraft, and unfortunately Connecticut paid a price for it in image and prestige, along with losing the Whalers.
It's amazing, and you wonder the whole thing coming back to UConn and the buildup in UConn and Rentschler Field and all that, how much of that really is kind of a rebound syndrome in what Connecticut lost.
Yeah, it's true. It's like saying, we did something, but you want to talk about another boondoggle? Take a look at, we talked about Yale Field a moment ago. How about what's sitting across the street from it, that Connecticut Tennis Center? That is another white elephant on the back of Connecticut. Thank you, Lowell Weicker.
And how many people go to watch that tournament every year? They don't even show the crowd.
No, they don't. It's, and there's a wonderful woman who ran it for so many years named Ann Worcester, who put her heart and soul into it, and not to belittle or the people who are running it or organizing it or anything. They do yeoman's work, and it's for good causes. But you know what? It's just in such a poor place on the calendar before the United States Open. It was like for many years. Remember, they couldn't seem to get the scheduling of it used to be called the GHO. They couldn't get it right. They couldn't fit it
Right
on the calendar so that it would be apart enough from a major to draw the big names.
to draw in major
to
participants.
Hartford.
Yeah.
And then one year Greg Norman won it, and he didn't want to come back the next year to play in it and defend his championship, but he felt an obligation to, and wouldn't you know it, the second day of the tournament, he discovered, I was playing with an illegal ball. And Saturday morning, he calls a 6 a.m. press conference, and he's probably having lunch down on his deck in Florida by lunchtime. The stories about Connecticut, huh?
You know, it's amazing. The other thing is, unless I have someone like you speaking this, you don't get this information anywhere.
You don't. Well, it's not that I'm smarter than anybody else or have more knowledge than anybody else. It's just that, when you're on the air, Tony, at a commercial station on one of the newscasts or something like that, number one, I'm sure you're compromised by a lot of business interests and sponsors and whatever, and you're reading off a teleprompter, or you have just a few moments to make a point, and you definitely can't get everything in. That's why a forum like this is so great. That you do a great show, and I'm honored to be a part of it. But it gives me a chance to put points of view out there that you might not necessarily hear because on a commercial station, you go on a WTIC or something like that, and you're a host of a show, and you say something, well, I'm sure within a few minutes, somebody who represents that special interest you criticize is going to be on the air to the program director, and next thing you know is you're being called on the carpet afterwards to tone it down.
It's amazing, and you're absolutely right. And we can also talk about the fact of stations taking economic development money. In my poor little ignorant mindset, I always thought that the Fourth Estate was supposed to be separate from everything else, so it could tell the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've worked in newsrooms and at places where there is almost no more dividing line between advertising interests and editorial interests, and I've heard some, and it's always on the sales side, they call it advertorial.
Oh dear!
And it's yes, exactly. That's how I feel every time I hear that word. And it's like the ever creeping entertainment factor in sports that I think has sullied the whole experience of attending a sporting event and following sports now. That what is this? Is this athletic competition, or is it is it Broadway?
You raise so many valid points. My mind just kind of spans.
I know, me too. As I'm saying this, it's just a stream of consciousness.
It's absolutely amazing, and sadly, I guess we can conclude by saying we'll continue to watch this morass in Hartford, and let's see if they get a stadium together by Memorial Day.
And you know what? I'm sure that's a date that I don't know if it's necessarily etched in stone. I think it may be, scrawled in sand, waiting for a wave to wash over it. Because if we have any more severe weather, we've been lucky so far this winter.
We really have.
Any winter in which I'm out playing golf on the day after Christmas is okay with me. But, you just wonder how much longer our luck is going to hold. If the ground freezes, if you have, delays because of big weather, be it rain, snow, ice, whatever, how much farther does that push it back? Like I say, I think that mark between May 17th and May 31st, don't etch it in stone.
I would agree. And moving along to the AFC Championship, what did you think? Were you surprised?
No. The Broncos had beaten the Patriots before. I thought the Broncos had the Patriots right where they wanted them, which was in Denver. There's no question in my mind, had that game been played in Foxborough, the Patriots probably win it. But if you get them out of Foxborough, get them out of the comfort zone, get them in front of a hostile crowd, I picked the Broncos to win that game, and I was happy they did, quite frankly, because I'm no fan of the Patriots. That's another thing that's making it a great winner. The Patriots aren't playing in the Super Bowl. about it unrelentingly over the next 12 days. But, this is one of the game's all-time greats. And, he did what he had to do on Sunday, and the defense took it from there, especially in the second half.
It really was an incredible performance, and seeing Brady get hit time after time after time. The only time I think I've seen something worse was when Brett Favre was getting run over by the New Orleans Saints. It was just not good.
That's true. I wonder how often Brady looked at those guys coming and had Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan, JTP flashbacks. But when you think about it, you're used to seeing quarterbacks get hit. You're not used to seeing Tom Brady get hit.
No, not at all.
And it wasn't just Brady, but Edelman, Gronkowski, they all took some shots from that Denver defense. And, those guys like to get up and bark after every play they make. As the game went on, they weren't barking too much.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen to him going into next year, because these guys take incredible poundings going forward.
Well, they sure do, and it was funny, but I brought this theory up to somebody yesterday, and he wasn't too pleased with me, but it's something to chew on. I said, you have to start thinking about, as great as they are, and there's no question they're Hall of Famers, but are Belichick and Brady maybe the most overrated quarterback-coach combination? Think about it. They've won one Super Bowl in 11 years, and that was handed to them last year by the most atrocious play call in NFL history when you consider the situation. So without that play call by Pete Carroll, these two are 11 years without a championship.
And you never really consider it in those terms.
Well, you think about it, Tony, it goes along the same timeline as the 1990s Yankees go. Let's say you have Derek Jeter there. He wins 4 World Series his first 5 years. Then there's that dry spell until 2009. Same thing for the Patriots. Brady wins with 3 of his first 4, and then a decade without. So, you can, and I know New York and Boston fans don't like to draw comparisons to each other. Boston fans go, well, the Yankees went all that time, blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's right back at you. And like I say, I'm not denying, how great they are, but, it's one in 11 years, and like I say, that, anybody who's objective about it will say it was a gift. So, you've got to start questioning what's going on. Can the Patriots, get the job done?
Yeah, for certain, and I mean, the Jets played them very hard this year.
When you think about it, the Jets, the last 2 years, Tony, should have beaten them all 4 times they played each other. If you take a look, it came down the 2 games last season when it was Rex Ryan's 4-12 team. If the Jets kick a field goal in both games, they win. And that would have changed the whole outlook of things. The Patriots probably don't get, home field advantage in the playoffs if the Jets even win one of those games. Then you had the first game this past season up in Foxborough, where for want of Brandon Marshall holding on to a ball in the end zone that would have made the score 21-7 in the third quarter, the Jets would have beaten them twice again this year. So, but that's why we play the games. It gives it's something to talk about. You can speculate. It's all, it's all hypothetical. Just like the whole thing over Gostkowski missing the extra point. That wasn't the reason the Patriots lost the game. And you feel sorry for that guy. I heard he withdrew from the Pro Bowl today, and it can't be because of an injury. He was one of 6 Patriots to pull out of the game, from what I understand. So, you just wonder if the guy's already kind of going into a shell that he doesn't want to deal with, being asked questions or being out in the open about it. And you feel sorry for a guy like that, because obviously he's a great kicker, a Hall of Fame kicker, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you just think of like the Don Newcombs and the Ralph Brancas and all these people who had something unfortunate and they never were quite the same. And you don't want to see that happen to him. Jim, believe it or not, we're out of time. Where can our friends and fans reach you?
Well, I'm at the Town Times in Watertown, Connecticut. I'm the sports editor there, and you can reach me at Jim Dreher at towntimesnews.com.
Also here, and we'll have you back. Listen, you have a great night. Thanks for being with us, and I guess happy motoring going into the spring in Connecticut.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Take care. Be well.
You too. Bye now. And that was Jim Dreher. Sit back. We have got some incredible retromercials for you. And I laugh at them, and I'm going to tell you about them on the other way out. Tony D'Angelo here on Coast to Coast. See you in a moment.
Mickey who?
You know who, the fellow with the celebrated swing. Oh, I love Mickey.
Mickey who?
You know who, the one who